Hi, I'm Alonso Duralde, film reviews editor of The Wrap. Film critics get a bad rap for not liking movies, but it's not true. And if you need evidence for that, this time of year, everybody gives you their top 10 list. And this is mine. Coming in at number 10 is Ava DuVernay's Selma. Not a perfect movie, but definitely contains some of the most powerful moments I've seen in a movie this year. Sadly, all too timely and relevant, but it's also a movie that takes a giant sort of piece of history and boils it down to a very human-sized conflict. And that's epitomized by the very relatable and fascinating performance that David Oyelowo gives as Martin Luther King Jr. At number 9, A Most Violent Year, which actually opens theatrically in some cities on December 31st. It's from director J.C. Chandor, who previously did Margin Call and All Is Lost. And so as far as I'm concerned, he's 3 for 3. This is a really compelling film set in the early 80s about a ruthless couple played by Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac, and what they'll do to get their slice of the American dream. At number 8 is Obvious Child, starring Jenny Slate, formerly of Saturday Night Live. This movie kind of got known as the abortion comedy, and while it does treat the subject of abortion a lot more seriously than most other movies do, since they tend to kind of run away from it screaming, that's not all this movie has to offer. The performances are terrific, from Slate on down to a really great ensemble, and I found the lead character really fascinating. You get to know different facets of her personality by the way she interacts with friends and family, and this is one of the few movies that's about a comedian where, when the comedian's on stage, they're actually funny. Those are harder to come by in movies than you'd imagine. At number 7 is The Raid 2. An exceptionally exciting and thrilling action movie, which I think does for violent action films what Singin' in the Rain did for musicals. It's an exhilarating experience, it's energetic and off the charts, and I really wish more people had seen it. I think that a lot of action movies were turned off by the fact that it had subtitles. That's a sad state of affairs if that's the case, but The Raid 2, just such a jolt of adrenaline. It's an amazing, amazing movie. At number 6, The Trip to Italy. It's a reunion of Michael Winterbottom, who wrote and directed the original The Trip, and his stars Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon playing themselves, or versions thereof. On the one hand, this is a foodie road comedy, but really this is kind of a melancholy contemplation of a midlife crisis and of masculinity and of dealing with issues like success and family ties. There's a lot going on beneath the surface here. The surface is very funny and gorgeous to look at, but if you dig a little, there's a lot of different layers going on in this movie. And even though it seems fairly improvisational, this is very much a written film, and one that I think more people should definitely check out. At number 5 is The Babadook, an Australian import that marks the arrival of Jennifer Kent, who I think is a very exciting new writer-director. This is a horror film that really brilliantly taps into the fears of both childhood and adulthood in its tale of a single mother and her disturbed child, and a very, very creepy pop-up book. At number 4 is Under the Skin. It's from writer-director Jonathan Glazer, making a long-awaited return to the movies after his first 2 films, Sexy Beast and Birth. It stars Scarlett Johansson in what I think is one of her best roles ever, as a very mysterious woman driving around Scotland, picking up men for nefarious purposes. Is she an alien? What is her mission? How does that mission change at some point in the movie? It's a film that leaves you asking a lot of questions, but if you pay enough attention and maybe go back and revisit it enough times, I think you'll start to unlock its mysteries. At number 3 is the delightful We Are the Best from director Lucas Moodysson. It's about 3 teenage girls in 1982 Stockholm who form a punk band. It's a joyous celebration of being an outsider, of being a teenager in general. It's a movie that just gets everything right about being young and being rebellious, and you don't have to love punk music to love We Are the Best. At number 2 is Locke, a movie that by all means probably shouldn't work. It's about one guy in a car on a long road trip having conversations with people, but it is the most exciting movie I think I saw this year. Tom Hardy gives an extraordinary performance, and writer-director Stephen Knight, despite the fact that he's physically limited his lead character in terms of, you know, putting a seatbelt on him, gives you everything that you would want out of a movie. It's suspenseful, it's funny, there are stakes. We get to know the backstories, we get to know the other characters in the film. It's a tour de force on all counts, and a movie that more people should definitely see. And at number 1 is Richard Linklater's Boyhood. It's the movie that everybody loves this year. believe the hype. I saw it at Sundance in January and it blew me away, and every time I've seen it again this year just confirms to me what an amazing piece of filmmaking it is. I mean, yes, the gimmick is a cool one. He filmed actors over the course of 12 years so that we see them age in real time on the screen, but this is not a gimmick movie because it's so incredibly well written and the characters are so well defined and fascinating. The performances are dynamite. It's a moving story. It's a relatable story. I think it changes the rules of narrative filmmaking in a lot of ways, and it's a film that's going to stay with me for a very long time. You can read my complete top 10 list and bottom 10 list at The Wrap.